Hello, FPL managers. Welcome back, everyone. This is another episode of the FPL Optimized podcast. This is episode number 111. Third up, it's nice to see you on camera again, but I must admit it was even nicer meeting you in person last week.
Yeah, I agree. It was great meeting you in person too. We have been talking with you for like 4 years, I guess, at this point,
Yeah, even
and
five, I think.
five is even longer. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I should say though, my wife also asked me how was it like meeting you in person. I said, boss is just like he's on the camera, like he's exactly the same. So I wasn't really that surprised, but yeah, it was obviously nice.
Yeah, no, it was the same. I mean, I did have to look twice, I think, once you at the beginning when you were certainly standing next to us, because I was having a coffee with a colleague, and then
Mm-hmm.
suddenly you were there. So I was like, "Oh, he's there!" So that was cool, and then it was really nice to meet. And I think we took the picture right away just to say, "Hey, we need to capture this moment," and no, that was really nice. And
True, true.
yeah, what a nice week it was, and of course, especially for you, the whole trip, and the highlight winning the bronze award at the Football Content Awards, which we didn't really expect, and we were really happy that we won bronze. I enjoyed it a lot, but let's hear from you first because yeah, it was quite a trip for you. What were some highlights of your trip?
Well, first of all, obviously the Football Content Awards. We were nominated, as you know, in the Best Fantasy Football Organization, and we won the Bronze Award. We weren't really expecting because in this category there were lots of good finalists.
Yeah,
Congratulations to all of them, actually.
yeah,
Indeed, we were not expecting to win anything. Um, it was a really nice surprise. I mean, making the trip from the United States, it obviously
yeah,
made the whole trip worthwhile.
yeah,
Um, and but yeah, I mean, before like besides the winning the award, obviously, meeting with people, like other FPL content creators at the award ceremony, and then also meeting with the analytics folks in our London FPL analytics meetup were definitely the highlights. I tried not to go to any like touristic places in London because I told my wife that maybe we will go together in future and then
oh,
travel those parts together. It
right,
was my first time in UK. But yeah, I mean, meeting with people, talking with them. I spent majority of my time, yeah, with people. Actually, these are the people that I have
yeah,
been talking regularly for the last like, 4 or 5 years. Like while I was
yeah,
playing FPL, so talking with them in person was pretty good, and we also watched two games in the like during the meetup,
right,
and yeah, and probably one moment that I will remember always is the Brennan Johnson's goal at the last minute in the Tottenham
okay,
City game because I had Johnson in my team
oh,
and I benched
nice,
Pedro Porro. So I was thinking maybe like since he didn't start the game, I was thinking maybe he will stay on the bench and I
oh,
will get Porro points. But no, he had to sub in, and I had no expectations from him. Like I said, okay, it's 1 point, whatever. And I was
yeah,
next to James, Fantasy Football Trout, and he said it was like 90 plus one, and he said Johnson will score a goal. And then 2 or 3 minutes later, he scored a goal, but I think the ball was already going in, so he didn't have to touch it. Uh, but he did,
yeah,
and I got some points. So,
yeah,
and we were really happy. I mean, not too many people had Johnson in their team anyway, but
no,
yeah, that
yeah.
that was that was a really nice highlight of the trip. So
Oh, cool.
that was fun.
I thought you were going to say the highlight was taking the bus with me.
Oh, yeah, double decker bus. They're really fun. I
Double decker
mean,
bus. Yeah.
especially
I
yeah.
have to tell people. So the event ended around, I don't know, 11:30, quite late. And
Yes,
most people were taking a cab or an Uber, but I said to Sertap, I'm Dutch. Dutch people try always to save money where they can. So we
true.
take the bus.
You said that. Yeah, you said that.
So Sertap joined me on the bus. Yes.
Yes, it was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
It was fun.
had a nice chat.
No, but same for me. It was really nice to enjoy so many nice people from the FPL community, and yeah, I know several people from X or also from their podcast, and it was pretty nice to meet some of them in real life. And yeah, just the whole event was a nice experience for us. As we said, it was really quite special for us also to meet. I look back at it. I was checking in my Outlook. I was just looking for our first email exchange, and it was from 2019. So yeah, 5 years ago, and we've been doing the podcast now for 2.5 years. So I think
Yeah,
yeah, it was
that's true.
about time we met.
Yes,
So
exactly.
thanks for making the trip, Sergey.
Sure, sure. My pleasure, and thanks for coming all the way from Belgium too.
No, no, that was quite easy to do. Cool.
Well,
All right.
still.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's cover our usual content now, as this is still the podcast which combine analytics with the good old eye test, as everyone knows. So the question is data or grass or data and grass, as every week. That's the question. Let's start with a quick game week review.
Or maybe the answer is neither data nor grass, because we are both at
Mm,
around 800k ish
yes.
in terms of rank, so not that particularly good. But yeah, I mean,
Ah,
it was a relatively okay game week for me. I got a green arrow, but it was a very small green arrow. I finished with
okay.
60 points, and safety
Yeah.
was 58, so I just made
Yeah.
a very slow improvement over my rank.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think the captaincy saved me a big time
Okay.
this week, and also the clean sheet from Arsenal, because I had both Raya and
Oh, yeah.
Gabriel, and I brought Gabriel this game week. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, Green Arrow, I can't complain. And finally, I am
Yeah.
ahead of you in overall rank. And
Yes.
also in head to head, I have like 6 wins now,
Yes.
and you are at 5 wins. So
Yeah.
that was
Congrats.
particularly enjoyable from my part. But how was your game week?
Yeah, I can't really be happy with the results, especially as I wildcarded. And in hindsight, it wasn't really smart to go against the field with my Isaac captaincy pick,
Mm-hmm.
which I knew was a risk. But I was really convinced that Isaac would do well. But yeah, he didn't. So, so that's unfortunate. And I think I also was a bit unlucky with a few players, but that's of course part of the game. But Verbrugge lost his clean sheet really late in the game. Raúl Jimenez missed, yeah, he missed a chance for open goal, which normally he would always make. So things like that were a bit unfortunate, and also, yeah, especially Raúl, but also Bruno. I kept them for a reason because I thought they had a good game. Because my plan for the next couple of weeks is actually to get João Pedro for Raúl and Saka for Bruno. And of course, they did already well last game week. It was that kind of week. So I could have saved a few transfers by just bringing them in already into the wild card, but well, I didn't do that. So yeah, it is what it is. And of course, with Bruno, I hope he will still do well now in the game against Everton. So we'll just look forward and we'll just hope for the best.
Yeah.
And talking about looking forward, let's let's just do that right away, and let's start with the fixture ticker.
Yeah, we won't go into details of the fixture ticker this week, but just to mention
Yeah,
mainly the top three teams. So we have Manchester City at the top again, even though they have a tough fixture
yeah,
this game week against Liverpool. Game week 14, 15, and
yeah,
16, and also game week 18 look okay. They are nice fixtures with Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, Manchester United, and Everton in 18. Arsenal
yeah,
comes second. So they have better defensive projections than City. Actually, their defensive average is better.
yeah,
I think they have one of the best defense in the league. And that's
yeah,
same in many models actually. But they
yeah,
have two favorable fixtures. I mean, some of them are not too bad, but game week 16 against Everton and game week 18 against Ipswich, those are the ones that are in the top 10 percentile. And the third team we have is
yeah,
Liverpool. Their defense average is slightly lower than Arsenal, but higher than City. But their offense is lower than City, higher than Arsenal. Obviously, they have a really tough fixture this week against City, but they are playing at home, so maybe that's a plus. Then they also have 3 favorable fixtures: Game Week 15 against Everton, Game Week 16 against Fulham, and at the end of the horizon in Game Week 18 against Leicester. Which is interesting because all these 3 teams, Manchester City, Arsenal, and Liverpool, they all have a nice fixture in Game Week 18. So captaincy will be tricky, I think, that game week. But yeah, just to talk about the order, rest of the teams, we have Chelsea at the 4th place and Spurs at 5th, Brighton comes 6th, and Newcastle, Aston Villa, Manchester United, and Bournemouth follow. Any comments on these, Buzz?
No, just maybe Arsenal, because they were quite impressive last game week. I think we were saying last time that the fixture looked favorable, even though it was Nottingham. So, we were saying that Nottingham is a strong team, and especially defensively, they've been doing really well. But Arsenal won quite easily, right? And Saka did well. So I think anyone who went on Arsenal for that game, like you did with your double defense, it paid off. And I think, we can see maybe that the momentum or the form is a bit changing again, probably due to the return of Odegaard. So Arsenal is looking good. Also yesterday in the Champions League. And by contrast, of course, City, there was an issue, right? Big loss against Spurs. Haaland against blanking. And then yesterday, the game against Feyenoord Rotterdam, they were 3-0 up. And to be honest, I went to bed because I was a bit tired. I was like, okay, this game is done. 3-0, I'm going to bed. And then this morning I woke up and I saw, on the Dutch news app, is that like, oh, surprise comeback from Feyenoord. They're like, what? What happened? So that kind of game that you think like, oh man, I should have stayed up. But no, but it also says something about City. I think that it's really unstable at the moment, and I think
defensively
some
especially.
people who also but I think also the people who kept faith in Haaland, I think many people probably sold him by now, but. Not to say that, as we keep saying every week, it can easily change again. So I think we need to remain flexible on that. But currently, it's not looking too good there. No. All right, cool. So I think that's the fixture ticker. Let's take a look at the optimal team then.
Optimal wildcard team. This week I didn't have time to get all the data, so I just used FPL reviews projections. And I sold for 12 game weeks, but I allowed only 6 game weeks of transfers, just to make it a little bit easier to run. And then the optimal team consists of Raya in the goal, Estupinan, Dello, Pedro Porro in defense. It has a really strong midfield. It has Saka, Mbomo, Palmer, Bruno Fernandes, Son. And in forward we have Solanke and Joe Pedro. And then on the bench we have Benda, Raul, Colville, and Konza. And so it's just I have 1 free transfer. So this team also assumes that I have this team has 1 free transfer. And so the only transfers it makes are on game week 16. And so for 3 game weeks, it's just rolling and then makes 3 transfers. It sells Estupinan for Alexander Arnold, Dallo for Anderson, and Mbomo for Eze. Well, first of all, my team value is probably lower than many people. So it's not able to fit premium players, I guess, because I don't see Salah or Haaland in this team, which is a little bit surprising. But it has a very strong midfield, and it is able to rotate the captaincy pretty well. I mean, it's Palmer against Aston Villa and Southampton, and then it has Son as captain, Bruno Fernandes. So lots of captaincy options, I think. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty surprised to see the optimal team, to be honest. But what do you think?
Yeah, no, it's surprising because it doesn't have Salah and it also doesn't have Haaland, right? I
Yeah.
think you didn't mention that, but that's probably the surprising thing. But I mean, besides that, I do think this is a little bit the template at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did the same for my wild card where we kind of try to save some budget in the defense, and we also go for some cheaper options in front, just because we have well performing options there, right? The the
Sure.
cheap
Yeah.
strikers like João Pedro, but also Cunha, or like in this team also here Jimenez or even Solanke. You know, they're doing quite well, so you can save budget there, and then you go for a really strong midfield. In this case, Saka,
Yeah.
Mbumo, Palmer, Bruno, Son. So
Sure.
Son is maybe the surprise here. I think most people will have Salah instead of Son. Um, so yeah, that's an interesting one. Something, yeah, we something we can consider also for our own teams.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think when you solve for longer horizons, it tries to utilize also the bench spots. And when you do it, obviously, like you need to spend some more money for to have a team of 50, like 14 players, where all of them are playing. I mean, if you look at the bench here, they're all players who have minutes. So,
oh,
but
yeah,
yeah, I think to fit, it's not impossible to fit Salah or Haaland to this team. But yeah, obviously,
no,
there should be some
probably,
uh, the projected point penalty there. But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
uh,
Like I would say, if this was my team, I think I would probably downgrade Solanke to Cunha, and then
mm-hmm.
maybe that's enough. That's enough budget to go for Salah.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I didn't look at it, but that could be maybe one option.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, good. Good to cover the team. It's nice, or it's interesting to see that there's something new every week, right? In
Yeah,
this
that's true.
team, and
That's true.
yeah, yeah, something new to talk about. All right, let's take a look at the captaincy options, and I think there are probably quite some options in the next game week.
Yeah, so in game week 13, well, we also have a mid-week deadline coming up in game week 14. So I will look
Right.
at both of the captaincies. The first one is game week 13.
Yeah.
Palmer is ahead with 7.06 projected points.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he is also the top pick in 4 out of 5 models. So Fix, Scout,
Okay.
FBR Review, and Mikhail Tokman has Palmer as a top option. So the only model that
Yeah.
has someone else is Fantasy Football Hub, which favors Salah just a little bit ahead,
Okay.
not a big
Yeah.
margin, but overall second is Salah. Well, that's a little bit surprising to me actually, playing against City, but his projected points is
Yeah.
6.3. And in the third place, we have Mbomo with 6.2. Saka comes fourth with 5.9. And finally, Son is fifth with 5.7 projected points. But I mean,
Okay.
besides these five, I also see Bruno Fernandes in some of the
Okay.
top 5 option in some of the
Yeah.
models. Like for example, in Scout,
Yeah.
Fernandes is the second highest. And also there's Wood in Fantasy Football Hub at the fourth place. Yeah, those are some of the interesting observations. But what do you think about these?
Yeah.
Who are you captaining, first of all?
Um, yeah. Currently, I have it on Palmer because I think indeed that looks for me a good option. Chelsea at home against Villa. Of course, Villa is a good team, but no, I think Palmer, yeah, is a good option there. But yeah, there are several good options because I also really like João Pedro against Southampton at home. The thing though is that's the Friday night game, so also everyone keep in mind there is a Friday deadline this week.
Yeah, a
Um,
good reminder.
so and I think yeah, there's always some kind of negative feeling about captaining a player in the first game. So yeah, I don't know, but I mean, Southampton is always is a good game to target, a good team to target,
Hmm.
especially away from home. And in this case, yeah, Brighton plays at home against Southampton. So I think João Pedro definitely is a good option. Also, Mbumo home to Leicester, also interesting. Maybe even also Cunha at home to Bournemouth. So there's all these options, but yeah, I think I'll go for a big name, and in this case, Palmer.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And you said you also already have the data for game week 14.
Yeah, in game week 14, actually, Haaland is the top option against Nottingham Forest at home, 7.3. And then he
Okay.
is, but surprising enough, he's only top option in two models, Fantasy Football Fix and Mikael Top 1. Other three models that we follow, HubSpot and FPL Review, they favor Palmer as the top option.
Okay.
But, well, since we are
Yeah.
taking the average of all these models, uh, so when you take the average, Palmer is actually second with 7.2. As you say, there's only like zero point 0.1 projected point difference in
Yeah.
between Haaland and Palmer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it will
Yeah.
be a 50-50 about who will come on top. Probably like towards also deadline, there's a chance that this difference will
Yeah.
be a little bit different, but obviously we have a few days until then. Um,
Yeah.
and then Salah comes third with 6.2. We have Saka at the fourth place with 6.1. And finally, Watkins at the fifth
Yeah.
place with 5.4 projected points.
Okay.
And since you don't have Haaland, I'm going to assume you are going to
No.
have captain Palmer, Salah, one of them.
Yeah. Probably. I mean, let's see what happens in the weekend first, but
Okay.
yeah, again, for everyone to be aware, the next deadline it will be on Tuesday, so that's why we're covering this now. Game week 14 is a midweek game week, so the deadline will be on Tuesday. We might not record another podcast before, so that's why we're covering this chart. But yeah, Palmer against Southampton looks definitely a good option. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Do you also again have captains for the weeks after?
Yes. Um, let's
Okay.
talk about them for the next 8 game weeks. Well, we talked about top options this week and next game week, Palmer and Haaland. But in game week 15, the top option is Salah against Everton with 6.7 projected points. In game week
Yeah.
16, it is Palmer, 7.5. Game week 17 is again Palmer against Everton, 6.2.
Wow. Okay.
Game week 18 is Salah against Leicester, 8.9. Pretty high. I mean, it's the highest in
Mm.
here. And Salah is the top option
Yeah.
across all models. So every model is
Okay.
favoring him for game week
Yeah.
18. In game week 19, we have Haaland at the top with 7.4 against Leicester away. And in game week
Yeah.
20, we have again Haaland against West Ham with 8.1. That's also pretty good. Most models are favoring Holland that game week except Fantasy Scott, which has Salah as the top option against
Okay.
Manchester United. But so
Oh
then
yeah.
for the next 8 game weeks, you see Palmer as the top option in 3 out of 8 game weeks, and then Holland comes up in 3 out of 8 game weeks too, and then Salah is only 2 out of these 8 game
Yeah.
weeks. But again, I mean, the difference might be small because like we were looking at game week 14 just now, and then the difference between Holland and Palmer were not that significant. It was just 0.1.
Right.
So it could be the case in other game weeks too. But yeah, so I mean, and also like Holland comes up in game week 19 and 20, but yeah, that's end of the horizon. Maybe you can try to bring Holland, maybe for
Yeah.
those fixtures.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. It's good that you're covering this because indeed, I think people need to have a plan in mind. Like, if you don't have Haaland, like I guess many of us don't have at the moment, like, yeah, do you want to bring him in at some point again or not? And then, of course, if you bring him in, it's probably because you want to captain him because for that budget,
Yeah.
yeah, you probably only want to do it if you captain him. So maybe around game week 19 it could be an option. And I think at that time we also have a better picture again on or we can assess again what the form is of City.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe now we have some doubts after the recent weeks, but maybe by that time it could be different. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think we covered enough again for today, and I
Yes.
think there was a lot of information to set everyone up for the next game week. And as I just said, keep in mind it's a Friday night deadline this week, so don't get surprised by it. I'm looking forward to that Brighton Southampton game on Friday evening. Hopefully, it will be a good start for my team with Verbruggen in goal. And I brought in João Pedro now, so I'll have João Pedro in the attack. Yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
Sertab, anything else you would like to cover?
No, nothing from my side.
Okay, then let's do a quick mini league shout out. So we have a very stable top three as the names remained the same. Just the order changed a bit. So James Coupland is the number one now with his team JCFC. He had a score of 64 points and now has 831 points in total, which gives him an OR of 656. Lyle Mosley has 4 points less, so he's now number two. And then 1 point behind him, we have Ski Carde on number three. And the gap with number four is 8 points. So let's see if we'll have a new entrant in the top three next week or not. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah.
So that's it for today. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. We appreciate it. So, as I said, next week the deadline is on Tuesday. So it's the first time this season that there will be games played midweek. So we'll have to see. I think it will be difficult to do a podcast on Monday. So
Yeah.
probably we'll just be back on Wednesday or Thursday. But we'll just see, right, Sertan?
Yeah, exactly. So I think
We'll be
we won't be able to record before game week
yeah,
14 deadline, but yeah, we will be back by
no,
game week
but
15. Yeah.
for that reason, we already covered some of the content today.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, do subscribe to our podcast so you'll get notified when the next episode is out. And as you know, you can also follow us on X. For Sertop, it's at Sertop Bilal, and for me, it's at BelfiBB. And there's also the separate account for the podcast, which is at FPL Optimized. And Sertop, you can also be found on Blue Sky now. I'm not there yet, but at some point, I'll probably be there as well. And don't forget that there's also the website called fploptimized.com where you can find all the data and charts and tools to help you with your decision making. And if you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like or hit the subscribe button. We will appreciate it.
And before I close the episode, I would like to thank each and every one of you for voting us in the Football Content Awards, and also people who attended the analytics meetup and people who couldn't attend the analytics meetup but sent very nice messages. I appreciate everyone in the community who's trying to make it a better place for everyone, a very welcoming place, being productive, helping each other. I really, really, really appreciate it, and it makes it a pretty unique and special community in my eyes. And until next time, stay curious and stay analytical. Goodbye.